Across the vast, often brutal tapestry of the Roman Empire, where the vast majority existed in a state of subjugation, one figure emerged who dared to speak of absolute freedom, not the freedom of land or lineage, not the freedom from chains or the will of a master, but a profound, unassailable liberty of the mind. His name was Epictetus. Born a slave, crippled, and ultimately exiled, his life was a testament to the most audacious claim in all of Stoic philosophy, that true freedom resides not in what happens to us, but in how we choose to respond. This is the story of a man who, from the depths of his bondage, forged an enduring path to an inner freedom that no emperor could grant, and no master could take away. In the shadow of the mighty Roman Empire, where the fortunes of men were decided by birth or the whim of conquest, Epictetus entered the world as property. Born into slavery in Hierapolis, Phrygia, around 55 AD, his early years would have been marked by the harsh realities of chattel. He bore the brand of his status, enduring physical hardship and the constant threat of arbitrary violence. Legend, perhaps embellished but potent, even speaks of his leg being deliberately broken by his master Epictetus, a freedman of Nero. This was his initial world, a life circumscribed by the will of others, where one's body, one's labor, even one's very existence was merely a tool in another's hand. This external reality of absolute unfreedom forms the stark backdrop against which Epictetus would forge his philosophy of liberation. Yet, even within the confines of his bondage, a different kind of life began to stir. Epictetus, recognizing perhaps a nascent intelligence, sent Epictetus to study with Musonius Rufus, a prominent Stoic philosopher. It was in this unlikely crucible, a slave attending the lectures of a Stoic sage, that Epictetus's unique vision of freedom began to crystallize. He learned to differentiate between the external world of circumstances which he could not control and the internal realm of judgment and will, which was undeniably his own. His physical chains, his lowly status, the pain in his leg, these were not obstacles to philosophy but rather its very proving ground. Each indignity, each constraint, became an opportunity to exercise the one freedom that truly mattered, the sovereignty over his own mind. Central to Epictetus's teachings, and indeed to the very core of Stoicism, is the radical concept of Prohairesis, our faculty of choice, our moral purpose. It is this faculty, and this alone, that truly belongs to us. As he declared in the Discourses, what is in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. What is not in our control, our body, property, reputation, command, and, in a word, whatever are not our own actions. This simple yet profound dichotomy creates an unassailable fortress within each individual. Our bodies may be beaten, our property confiscated, our reputation slandered, but our capacity to choose how we interpret these events, how we assent to our impressions, remains inviolate. This is the ultimate freedom, the power to determine one's inner state, irrespective of external conditions. For Epictetus, the mistake most people make, whether slave or emperor, is to confuse these two realms. We chain ourselves by seeking control over what is inherently uncontrollable. We desire wealth, fear poverty, crave praise, dread criticism, cling to health, and abhor sickness. Yet all these are external indifferents. They are not good or bad in themselves, but simply material for our will to work upon. The slave who pines for freedom from his master's command is no freer than the master who pines for more power. Both are enslaved by their desires for externals. True freedom begins the moment we internalize this distinction, recognizing that our ultimate peace and dignity come not from altering the world, but from mastering our own reactions to it. It is a liberation from the tyranny of external events and the volatile emotions they stir. How then does one live according to this philosophy? Epictetus taught the rigorous practice of examining our impressions. When an event occurs, a slight, an injury, a loss, we receive an impression. Before we react emotionally, before we assent to the belief that this event is inherently bad, we must pause. Does this concern anything that is in my control? He would urge us to ask. If the answer is no, then our appropriate response is acceptance, not resistance. Our freedom lies in withholding assent from judgments that declare externals to be inherently good or evil. This deliberate act of discerning and assenting is our inner magistrate, the true seat of our liberty. It is a constant, vigilant exercise, demanding courage and unyielding self-awareness. Epictetus's life became a living demonstration of his philosophy. After gaining his freedom, he established his own school in Rome. However, around 93 AD, Emperor Domitian, fearing the growing influence of philosophers, banished all philosophers from Rome. Epictetus was exiled to Nicopolis in Greece. For many, this would have been a devastating blow, a profound loss of livelihood and community. Yet for Epictetus, it was merely another external event outside his control. He simply re-established his school in Nicopolis, continuing to teach with unwavering resolve. His lameness, his enslavement, his exile, none of these external blows could touch the inner freedom he had cultivated. They were merely changes in scenery, not assaults on his core identity or his purpose. It is crucial to understand that Epictetus was not advocating for apathy or indifference to suffering. Rather, he was pointing to the root cause of our psychological suffering, our attachment to things beyond our control, and our fear of loss. As Seneca wrote in his letters, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Epictetus taught that we become slaves not to external masters, but to our own desires and aversions. The fear of death, the desire for pleasure, the craving for approval, these are the true chains that bind us, far more insidious than any physical restraint. Only by confronting these inner tyrants, by mastering our judgments and desires, can we become truly free, capable of navigating life's inevitable storms with equanimity and resilience. Epictetus, the former slave, became a teacher to emperors and commoners alike. His discourses, meticulously recorded by his student Arrian, served as a blueprint for inner liberty, a guide to becoming the master of one's own mind. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, would later pore over these very texts, finding solace and strength in Epictetus's unwavering principles. If you are pained by any external thing, Marcus Aurelius reflected, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your own judgment about it. This echoing sentiment across centuries and social strata demonstrates the universal applicability of Epictetus's radical claim that the human spirit, through conscious choice and disciplined reason, can transcend any external imposition and claim its inherent sovereignty. This inner freedom is not granted, it is forged. The profound legacy of Epictetus is not merely a philosophical treatise, but an invitation to a different way of living. He does not offer a path to escape the world's challenges, but a method to engage with them without losing one's inner peace. His teachings remind us that while we cannot always choose our circumstances, we always choose our response. In a world increasingly defined by external pressures, economic anxieties, social media validation, and political turmoil, Epictetus's voice resonates with timeless urgency. He calls us to look inward, to reclaim our most precious possession, the faculty of our judgment, the power to assent or withhold assent. It is here, in this internal citadel, that we find our unshakable freedom, the same liberty that sustained a crippled slave and transformed him into one of humanity's most enduring teachers of wisdom. From the lowest rung of Roman society, Epictetus articulated a philosophy that paradoxically elevated the human spirit to its highest potential. He taught that true freedom is not the absence of external constraints, but the presence of self-mastery. It is the unwavering commitment to understand what lies within our control, our thoughts, our judgments, our reactions, and to diligently manage that sacred inner space. His life, scarred by slavery and exile, stands as an irrefutable testament to the power of this philosophy. He challenges us today not to change the world around us first, but to transform the world within us, to shed the invisible chains of unexamined desires and fears, to embrace the responsibilities of our own minds, and in doing so to claim the profound, quiet, and utterly unassailable liberty that is our birthright. In his words and by his example, Epictetus remains a beacon, guiding us toward the inner freedom that makes us truly sovereign, truly human.